It's been 25 years since we lost one of the greatest lyricists to ever do it, Biggie Smalls.
First memory of Big, I would have to say that would probably be Party and Bull from the Who's the Man soundtrack.
He had the Mary J remix. He had Party and Bull, and she was hot.
Party and Bull. I was like, yo, he got bars. And then Shaq had a song, You Can't Stop the Rain. And he was like, condos with elevators in them.
One of my first memories of Big Papa, Biggie Smalls, was him and Puff Daddy driving backwards or driving in reverse on a video as we were hypnotized by his lyrics, hypnotized by his rhymes, and the Versace shirt that I'll never forget.
The first time I had an opportunity to lay eyes on him I was at USC. He came to our little auditorium, one of those Friday night concerts, but with small venues where he's on the mic, they got the staticky speakers going on, and he was just laying down the tracks. It was crazy fun.
I actually met him briefly at San Jose State University. He was there, I guess, kind of promoting the album. Wasn't a big superstar yet, so, it was actually cool to meet with him and talk with him.
His whole flow was offbeat, but always on. It was a new type of cadence, a new rhythm, a new sound. Puff had that hit-making magic.
I'm the biggest Martin fan I know, or at least I like to think I am. Biggie was featured on one of the episodes, and anybody who knew him personally would always attest to the same thing. Like, he was one of the funniest people that they had ever met, and that episode is a beautiful example of that.
Well, first of all, I was an M2 fan, loved Juicy Fruit, and I remember hearing it on the radio one day, but it was a different version. It was something else. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper, and Heavy D up in the limousine, and that was it. I'm hooked. From then on, Biggie Smalls was my guy and could do no wrong. I think he resonated, at least with me, because I read Word Up magazine.
I was so young when Biggie died. I mean, I was like barely in middle school. And so I don't think I appreciated what we lost until I got older, and really understood and appreciated his music. So in retrospect, it's like to have been so young, to lose him and Pac so close to each other was devastating.
Biggie has resonated with the culture because first and foremost, he represented lyrics and bars. He went from being a street cat to being able to make mainstream songs and radio songs.
Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. commercialized hip-hop. He made it something that everybody, whether you were white, black, Latino, everybody was bouncing to those beats.
He resonated by telling stories. He told our stories. He told them in a way that made you want to be a part of it, that made you follow him from start to finish. He could captivate you and hold you for 3 minutes and 46 seconds, which is really hard to do when I was 17. And that was my prom CD, because I wanted to make sure that the lady with me understood that Biggie Smalls was taking us back to Cali.
That's the thing why he remains relevant, I believe, a quarter century later, because there's no one way to talk about the guy. Whether you're coming at it from a strictly rap standpoint, you're appreciative of the art that he gave, but you also think about, like, what could this guy have done had he just been given the most beautiful gift there was, and that's just life. And then I also think about the people close to him who still mourn him, who still celebrate him every day. And those are very real parts of the grieving process. But whether he was an entertainer who changed your life. So when you lose such a significant part of, I don't want to say your identity, but maybe that is the word in a way, your musical identity, your part of your musical calculus, whether you were growing up, whether you were like me, super young, or whether you were in college around that time when Big passed, or whether you were into adulthood, it reminds you about a part of your life when you felt the world change. So that's why I think Big remains relevant 25 years later, and he'll be relevant 25 years later when it's the 50th anniversary.
B.I.G., the best song, the greatest song, the one I can remember. Going back to Cali, whenever I got on that plane from New York going back to L.A., I always had that playing.
There's so many. It may be I got a story to tell, and I've always wondered if it's true, and if so, who that Knicks player was, because that's the hell of a story.
My favorite Biggie song is Who Shot Ya? Separate the weak from the obsolete. Like that, those words, and me hearing Puffy talk at the beginning of that track, and just the way it feels, it just energizes me.
My daughter loves Mo Money, Mo Problems. That's probably a problem for me. I don't know, I sort of look to Biggie as like a philosopher, and so Sky's the Limit has always been my favorite Biggie song, just because in some tough moments where I was questioning decisions and I needed a little bit of affirming of my choices in life, I would just put that song on. And as soon as you hear, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen," he went from ashy to classy. I'm still firmly at the ashy spot.
To protect my position, my corner, my lair, while we out here say the hustler's prayer. If the game shakes me or breaks me, I hope it makes me a better man. Take a better stand. Put money in my mom's hand. Get my daughter this college plan so she don't need no man. Stay far from timid. Only make moves when your heart's in it. And live the phrase, sky's the limit. I think that represented where Big was wanting to head in his life, where his mind state was.
I Papa freaks all the honeys, yummies, Playboy bunnies. Everybody knows when you hear that, we know what's coming afterwards.
Banging out of every car, stereo, bodega, beef patty spot. Biggie Smalls is the illest. And those that rushes my clutches get put on crutches. Get smoked like Dutches from the master. Hate to blast ya, but I have to. Whew.
Hot, sicker than your average. You know when he said, "Pink Gators, my Detroit players." You know I went and got a fresh flower today because of that lyric.
Biggie was the best, still is the best, will always be the best to me. He made me feel like I couldn't write. Like the way he poetically wrote made me feel like I needed to become a better writer. We'll never know what he could have been, but what he did leave with us is legendary.
Every so often, and I just think like, wow, man, like what could have been, like what should have been. But I'm just thankful that, you know, we got what we got out of him while we had him here for such a short amount of time. When I look at Big and I just think of the gifts that he afforded to this world, for me in particular, that's a book that I'm releasing in May, a biography of Biggie Smalls ahead of what would have been his 50th birthday. So we talk about how can you stay relevant 25 years later? He's still inspiring people to chronicle his life. That's just a testament to how powerful art is and how powerful storytelling is and how powerful putting words together is. Like, you could change the world.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.